Okay, let's get started. Hey horror freaks, welcome back to my channel. My name is Amanda. If this is the first time here, don't forget to subscribe and hit the bell icon so you can get a notification every single time that I post a video, and I post every single week. As you can see from the title, today's video is going to be my full review with spoilers of Stranger Things Season 4, Volume 1. This is going to be from the first episode all the way to the 7th, since the 8th and 9th will be coming on July 1st. The series just got released yesterday on Netflix. It took me a while to watch it, since if you have watched it already, the episodes are way longer than usual. Each one it's way more than an hour, so of course it took me a while, but here we are. As always, on my reviews are with spoilers. If you don't want them, just to see if this was worth it or not, in the description box down below, there you're going to find my spoiler-free review, because I like to give you guys the two options. So given the little talk and disclaimer ahead, let's get into the video. I cannot tell you how pumped I am. I have been waiting 3 years. We have been waiting for this moment for 3 whole years, and it finally came. I was so excited. Yesterday, I watched the whole season through. Like I said, it took me a while. This season, the episodes are longer than usual. All of them are 1 hour and something. So of course, it feels longer, and it is. So this is going to be a long review and a long video, but I'm going to try my best to keep it as fast as possible so you don't get bored until we get to my opinion that is going to be at the end. So I'm going to be dividing this review into each individual episode, just giving you a brief summary of it, and at the end is going to be my full opinion. Since if I give you an opinion of each individual episode, I'm going to be here talking for way too long, right? To give you a refresh, basically this season's plot is going to be that 6 months after the Battle of Starcourt, which brought terror and destruction to Hawkins, struggling with the aftermath, our group of friends are separated for the first time, and navigating the complexities of high school hasn't made things easier. Now, of course, these kids have grown out all the way from the first season to now to the 4th, and I like the fact that they are not making them stay on middle school. We are now in high school, and they are dealing with the issues that can be when it comes to friends, social status, being the new kid in a school in the case of 11, etc. So of course all the things are brought up next to the issues that we have been battling ever since, that is the Upside Down, and of course the appearance of this new demon and villain called Vecna. There are many theories about who it is, what he's doing. All of that is actually resolved on the very last episode of the 7th one. So that, if you want to know, you're gonna keep watching. Now, episode 1 is called The Hellfire Club. We have the first 8 minutes released by Netflix a few days before, so probably you watched them already. Basically, this is a flashback from 1979. We have Dr. Brenner on the Hawkins lab, and we have all of these kids. We have the introduction of 10. At the end of this scene, we see 11 with a lot of blood on her hands, and basically it's implied that she killed them all. And why? Well, if you want to know, keep on watching, because that is also told at the last episode. When it comes to the year, we are on the spring break of 1986. We have 11 with Will and Jonathan. They're all living in Leonora, California, while we have Mike, Dustin, Lucas, Max, and Erica, and Nancy, and Steve, and even Robin on Hawkins still. And of course, Joyce is in California too, and we have Hopper that is in Russia. Of course, we had a teaser that came out last year that implied that, of course, Hopper was indeed alive. At this point, Hopper being alive was something that we knew from the trailer alone. So basically, 11 is having some struggles in school. This is something that we see in the trailer, and a scene that was released by Netflix. She's being bullied because she's seen the weird kid. And of course, in case that you forgot, she lost her powers. She tries to use them, and it gets embarrassing. So basically, she's lying to Mike. They have been talking to each other through letters, and she's been lying to him, saying that she has friends, that she's been doing good, but of course, that's not the case. Will, on the other hand, he began this series as being basically the protagonist, since he was the one to be missing, but right now his character is pushed back a lot. Like, he's still on the main group, but definitely his character has been pushed back a little bit. So from him, we don't know much, and we have Jonathan that has a new friend, and he is smoking pot now. And that's basically the only thing that Jonathan has been doing. He's not a character that they are focusing right now. Now, as in Hawkins, we have Lucas that now is part of the basketball team. Robin is officially part of the group since now she's a really good friend of Steve, and they are working on the video shop that they got the job on season 3. And while all of this is happening, basically Luca and Max broke up since she's dealing with the grief of losing Billy. But we also see her taking some pills that basically can be used for headaches. But this is not an explanation that we got until a few episodes later. But of course, the importance and the focus that they give to the pills, of course, they're giving us a hint that something, of course, is wrong with Max. Now, while all of this is happening, we have a cheerleader called Chrissy. Now, she's having some really weird visions, specifically on the bathroom. She's even throwing up, and at first I thought, oh, maybe she's pregnant, but well, they never really talk about that, so probably not. But she's having some really creepy visions, so this is when the season starts to turn dark. This season is way darker than the others. This is something that has been told. Of course, the trailer proves it to you, and definitely it is. The horror references are loud and clear, something that for horror fans is going to be really exciting. We have an Evil Dead poster on Jonathan's room, we have a Jaws poster on Will's room, and we have specific mentions of horror icons. And even we have a horror icon on the cast. Now, on this episode also, Joyce, she got a package from Russia that it's adult. She calls Murray and he's like, you should smash that thing to see if it has something on it. Since of course they have been messing with the government and with the Russians, they are scared that maybe they are behind them. But the doll, in fact, what it has on the inside is a note saying that Hopper is alive. They need to call a number to see what they can do next. They call and basically they're asking for a lot of money to get Hopper safe from the prison. Now, also this episode is the introduction, of course, to new characters, but this one is a really important one, and it's Eddie. He is the leader of the Hellfire Club, that basically is a D&D club in which Mike, Dustin, and Erica are part. First episode, while Luca is on the basketball game, we have all of them doing a little tournament. I really like the fact that although they are grown-ups, we still haven't lost the essence of the series and of their personalities, something that I really like. And of course, the 80s and all the homage to everything is top notch. Now we have a really clear resemblance to A Nightmare on Elm Street, since Chrissy is having some visions. Now Eddie, besides being the Hellfire leader, he's also a drug dealer and he's selling drugs to Chrissy. They never really specify why, but probably she wants them to cope with the fact that she's having some visions. The thing is that when you're having the vision, it's like you are asleep, but the thing is that you can be standing still and the person in the front of you could be like, wake up, but you're not really sleeping, but you're kind of asleep. And the voice, how it was heard and how the scene was played, it definitely resembles A Nightmare on Elm Street's nightmare scene, something that I really like. And of course, it's a really good homage to this horror classic. Now, while Chrissy is asleep and having the vision with Vecna, that is the demon, he kills her on her sleep. Of course, once again, another resemblance to Freddy Krueger. And basically, this is how the episode ends. She dies on Eddie's house and Max is their neighbor, so of course she saw the whole thing. But of course she knows more than that, so she's not going to be suspicious of Eddie. And that's it for the first episode, and even the soundtrack of the credits even resembles a little bit the soundtrack of A Nightmare on Elm Street. Now, episode 2, we have a flashback of Hopper when he survived the explosion and what happened to him and how he ended on Russia. Some torture going on, but he's still trying to make it out alive. And he has a friend that is an officer that is called Dimitri, and he's the one that is helping him to get out with a contact in Alaska that is called Yuri, that he's the one that made a contact with Joyce and Murray. And Murray and Joyce are on the way to Alaska to get the money to get Hopper out alive of Russia. Now, since we are officially on a spring break, we have Mike that is flying from Hawkins through California, and I really like this scene since when Mike and Eleven and all of them are together once again, when they are leaving the airport, Murray is also getting on the outside of the airport, but they don't know it yet, since of course the only one that knows the real reason of why Murray is in California is Joyce. For the kids, he's just visiting, but of course that's not the case. So we have them leaving to Alaska and we have the kids all alone. They got to a roller skate place And we have another encounter with Eleven's bully, Angela. That girl, I wanted her dead. I really wanted her dead. She's a really mean girl. And of course, Mike see that 11 has been lying. And of course, Will also tells him, like, she's been lying to you all this time. And 11 basically attacks Angela. At first, she tried on the first episode with her powers. Of course, that didn't work. Here, she takes a roller skate and basically hits her on the nose. I love that scene. I'm not gonna lie. I enjoy it because seriously, she was a really mean kid. Now, while all of this is happening in Hawkins, the police gets to Eddie's house, but he's nowhere to be found. He's been living with an uncle and he wasn't even there. And of course, the corpse is there. Max, of course, saw it and everyone, but of course, Max knows that something else is happening. Here we have a clear mention of Michael Myers, just on the resembles of Michael killing like girls on houses and that type of stuff. And we have Nancy. That Nancy is now in charge of the school newspaper and she has this editor called Fred. They all go to Eddie's house to get more information, but Fred got visions also from Vecna and is eventually killed. So of course now we have another similar death to Chrissy, since both of them are like basically Vecna takes away their souls but like twist their joints and like all the body, so they end up twisted and weird. So of course now we have two and Eddie was nowhere to be found. So of course once again he's been charged with the murder, since they have no one else rather than just Eddie, because they found Christy's bodies on Eddie's house. And Christy's boyfriend Jason, he refused to believe that his sweet and perfect girlfriend could be doing drugs. So of course he's accusing Eddie. And basically that's the episode. The first episodes are just bringing details and new characters and details and details. It's going to be a little bit overwhelming for some people, since you're gonna have to remember all of this to the end and to the next season and the next episode. So keep close attention to everything because everything here matters. Now on episode 3, Joyce and Maury, they finally arrive to Alaska and 11 is captured and is going to prison because she attacked Angela. But also behind the scenes we have the doctors that actually had her first, and they are suspicious that she's actually still alive. In case that you forgot, basically 11 has been dead ever since season 1. This is why of course she was called Jane Hopper, and she stayed with Hopper and wasn't able to get away. So just in case, for the records, she was dead. But they are suspicious that not, so they found another doctor that was alive to find her, and they intercept the police when she's been taken to prison, and they take her to Nevada. And she's basically going to be part of what is called the Nina Project. What is that? We're going to know it on the next episode. The main reason why they want her, they don't want to kill her or harm her, but they want her because she needs her powers back. She hasn't been able to get them, and she's the only one that can save basically everyone from Vecna. So they are trying all they can to finally give her powers, since they have a way that is called Nina Project. Now, while all of this is happening, we have on Hawkins something that is hinted throughout all the season, but specifically from this moment and now on, is that Steve and Nancy are still in love with each other. If they're going to end together or not, I am not sure. This is something that is not resolved on this season, but definitely they do still have feelings for each other. And even Robin is saying to Steve, like, why you guys aren't together? Like, she's a really good friend. I really like her pairing with Steve as friends, and she even makes a duo with Nancy, an interaction that I truly love. Now, since they are starting to investigating Nancy and Robin, they found this case of 1959 of a man called Victor Creel and an exorcism that was performed, and he's on a mental institution, since he basically is being charged with the murder of his wife and their kids. And of course, for them, this case could be a life or death situation, and Victor can be a crucial part in what Vecna it is, because at this point they don't really know much about Vecna, only about the D&D demon type of stuff on the game, so they don't know much about how he works or what he wants, so they're working basically blind. Now we have Steve, Dustin, and Max looking for the student files, since they were all looking on the student counselor and they want to know exactly why. And we're all going to realize that both Fred, Chrissy, and Max are all three with the same symptoms: migraines, visions, nightmares. Max is really scared since at this moment she starts to have visions. This is why she was taking the pills. She was having migraine. She wasn't sleeping and she was having nightmares. And she probably will have the same destiny as Fred and as Chrissy. But of course, since now they know it, they're probably going to find a way to solve this. While all of this is happening on the other side, we have Luca that is with Jason, that is the leader of the basketball team. They're looking for Eddie because of course Jason is basically blaming Eddie for Chrissy's death. This season has a lot of subplots, so it's going to be a mess of match of groups, some of them getting together or getting separated, so it's hard to keep up with each individual team. So I'm going to be mentioning each individual name since, like I said, it's going to be hard. I can't just say team 1 or team 2 since there are way too many at this season. And this episode concludes with Max having a vision of a clock that is the same clock that Chrissy saw on her visions. Now episode 4, we have Max. She is doing letters for everyone just in case that she dies. She has something to say goodbye on, and we have this scene of her going to Billy's grave, and here she is with Steve and she's Dustin and also Luca, since Luca at first is trying to be the one with the cool kids with the basketball team, but of course he realizes that that's not where he belongs, so he's trying to find them in order to intercept them so Jason doesn't find them first. When they get to the cemetery, this is when we have a scene of Max on the upside down because she's having visions too. We saw this on the trailer. And we have a really close encounter with Vecna. But they are able to crack the code since Nancy and Robin, at the same time that this is happening, they got to see Victor because Victor is in a mental hospital and they pass themselves as students and that they need to talk to him. And Victor is portrayed by Robert Englund. He's only appeared for a brief moment, but I think that they found the right man for the part. Creepy as hell. Only him can do this part right, and I love this man. Now he explains what happened on 1959. Basically, after war, he had a new property and they moved to this beautiful house, but weird things started to happen and something killed his wife and their kids, but of course he was charged with the murder of them. He tried to kill himself, he got blind, but of course he was safe, so he's still alive. But something that he talks is about a melody and music. And Robin and Nancy are able to crack the code that basically music can bring you back from the visions. So they put some music to Max and she's able to return, so of course she's not dead, but she almost gets killed by Vecna. It's really stressful since for a moment I thought that they were really going to kill Max and I was really scared because I don't want her dead. I don't want her to die. I love that girl way too much. Now on the scene where we have Robin and Nancy with Victor, it's a clear reference to Silence of the Lambs. And I loved it. Like I said, for horror fans, it's really easy to spot the reference in horror. And I think that they have done it pretty well and really smoothly. So for some people, may be normal, but of course, for horror fans, we know what they're doing. So points for that. Now, while all of this is happening in California, we have Jonathan, Mike, and Will on the house. Since the police arrived to the house to explain them that Eleven is going to the Nina project and that she's not going to jail. But of course they don't want to stay there and they call Jonathan's friend, and when he gets to the house, an army is trying to kill them. They don't really give much details about that. They never really go back to say, oh, who was trying to kill us. And of course they have some police with them. And he's injured, but he's able to tell them that he has the numbers of the location of 11. It's basically a phone number. When they call, once they even buried the corpse since the police died, they try to contact Susie because Susie is the only one that can help him since she is technically close and she lives in Utah. So they drive all the way from California to Utah. She's able to crack the code in her computer and she gives the coordinates, and it's the Nina project and it's in Nevada. Of course, we already know this. And this is basically the last time that we kind of see them. And while all of this is happening, Joyce and Maury are betrayed by Yuri. That was the guy that was supposed to help him bring Hopper back, and he's now bringing them to Russia. Like I said, there are many things happening at the same time. I felt like watching Game of Thrones when we have different subplots happening at the same time. So it gets confusing. Like I said, you need to pay closely attention because you know you're going to get lost. Now, on the 5th episode, we have 11 getting to this new lab that is on the Nina project, and Dr. Brenner appears. Basically, what they're going to do with her is bringing her memories so she can activate her powers once again. And here we're going to be seeing the same scene that we saw on the very first episode, but of course, it's on a loop. She needs to get out of that loop. And here's when we're going to be seeing a new character, Peter, that is portrayed by Jamie Campbell Bower, on the loop with her. But she needs to get out and get deep into her memories so she can activate her full powers once again. And basically that is all that is going to be happening from now on to 11. She's been on this trance, on this loop, and we see one on and on the same scene until she's finally able to like crack a little bit and get deeper into her memories. Now, while all of that is happening, we have all the scene of Jonathan, Mike, and Will burying the officer's body and then getting to Susie. All of that really happens on this episode. And on the same time that is happening, Dustin, Steve, Robin, and Nancy on Victor's grill house. And basically Vecna is on that house but on the upside down. And they are trying to see what this house can give to them. And once they explore the house, they leave to get to Eddie since they are hiding Eddie on a house. But Jason is able to find him. And Jason is with a friend, but this friend is starting having visions by Vecna, and he gets killed by Vecna in the front of Jason. And Eddie, he was on the water, so he's nowhere to be found. So to Jason, Eddie is possessed by the devil and he needs to be killed. Jason is a really annoying kid, let me tell you. Now on this episode we have Eddie trying to escape once again from Jason. Jason is making everyone in Hawkins to think that he's possessed with the devil. And we have Will with Mike and Jonathan on Susie's house trying to break the code of the Nina project. Now this is the last episode that we see them. After this, we don't really see them once again since they cracked the code and that was it for them. They're really the characters that are seen less on this season. And in my opinion, it didn't bother me. Like for me, these characters are pushed to the side and they're giving more attention to the other groups, and I think that they work better. I think that the dynamic and the chemistry between these characters works really well. So for me, the part that was boring on all of these episodes was the subplot of Mike, Will, and Jonathan. For me, it's not like they don't matter, but they're not my favorites. Nancy, Robin, Max, Dustin, and Steve are all together on the woods looking for Eddie, and he appears. They are on the same lake that they were last night, and Dustin is able to realize that could be a portal on every single place that someone has been killed. So they get to the lake. Yes, they found a portal on the water, and Nancy, Steve, Robin, and Eddie are able to get in, so they are all now on the upside down, but the police is able to find them. So we have Max, Dustin, and Luca being taken by the police to Nancy's house. And we have all these characters now on the same place but on the upside down. And now they need to find a way to communicate each other, but of course we know how to do that. It's with the lights. That is what Will did on the very first season. Now while all of this is happening, Hopper is going to be forced to fight against a Demogorgon. something that they're doing in prison. But of course, he kind of knows how he can end them, that is basically with fire. So we know that he's going to be okay. While all of this is happening, 11 is still on the loop, but this is when it's shown that basically she killed every single one of the kids in 1979. But why? And of course, there's a chunk of the memories that we haven't seen yet, and that's what is left on the last episode. But for now, 11 has been the killer of every single one of the kids. And now on the last episode, basically Nancy, Eddie, Robin, and Steve are able to get back from the upside down by Eddie's house. They are on the upside down, and we have Dustin, Erica, Max, and Lucas. They escape from the police on Nancy's house. They get to Eddie's house and they're able to break the portal so they can all go back. But Nancy gets on the trance and starts having visions of Vecna. I was really scared at this moment. It was like, no, you're not gonna kill me, Nancy, now. Hell no, you're not gonna kill me, Nancy. Hell no. But no. We have Vecna talking to Nancy about Victor. And while this is happening, we have 11's memories going on completely. Meaning that we have her full interaction with Peter. And this is important because Peter is trying to help 11 to get out of the lab, because he's telling to her that we are all prisoners, but you need to help me. They're controlling me with a device that is on his neck. 11 takes it out. Peter has powers, but not only powers. He is number 1. He has the tattoo, just the same as 11. He has number 1 written on his wrist. And why all of this matters? Because at the same time that Nancy's having the visions, 11 is watching this, and it's all basically connected. Peter tells to 11, stay here, and he leaves. But we start hearing screams, just like 10 heard on the first scene. 11 gets out and she sees all the corpses. So she's not the killer. The killer is Peter, or number 1. And why he is the killer? Here's the moment I've been waiting for. Victor was Peter's dad. Peter lived on the house, of course, with the family. Something was different about this house. And he found a nest of spiders, and he became, I wouldn't call obsessed, but he created a connection with the spiders. And he started seeing humans as a disease from the world, and that they were cruel and that they needed to disappear. He started to developing powers, and he is the one that created the visions for Victor and his mother and the sister. He killed his mother and his sister, but since it was too much for him to handle, he ended on a coma. But from his father, he was dead. So Victor was charged with this murder that he didn't commit. Victor wasn't crazy at all. But Peter is taken to Brenner, and Brenner wants to replicate him. So this is why he's number 1, and we have number 2, number 3, number 4. Peter, it's the first one, of course. He is the main thing here. So this is why 11 has these powers, because Brenner wants to replicate him, but he hasn't been able to fully do it, since Peter's powers go beyond everyone else, even beyond 11. But since this is a flashback and we are trying to bring 11's powers back, of course this is not real, but we have this final fight, and while 11 is giving the reveal of this, Vecna is telling Nancy this, like, what has to do with Vecna and Peter? Basically, 11 is the creator of Vecna, since she was able to kill Peter, and she opened the portal to the upside down. She pushed him down there, and Peter became Vecna. And this is when we realize from where he comes from, who he is, why he's doing all of this. Why basically his main target, in essence, is 11. He's not Billy. Billy does appear on a vision from Max, but that's it. But Vecna is Peter, number 1. And that's how this season, well, at least this first part, ends. I needed a moment to process that, but I was so mind blown I couldn't even believe it. I am hell excited for part 2, that is episode 8 and 9. They're going to be way longer and they're going to be brutal. I can't wait for this. And also, while all of that happened, what happened to Hopper? He made it out alive. He's made it out alive. So basically he ends hugging with Joyce. And that's it for the episode. And also the chemistry between Steve and Nancy is there. The spark is still there. And that's basically it. I have no idea for how much I have been talking, but I know that it's been a while. Now basically this season it's darker, brutal, and shocking, and I love it every single second of it. It's a little bit overwhelming, like I said, because they're bringing way too many details, but I am trusting them they're going to be able to give this the right ending, since they were basically able to wrap up so many things on the last 20 minutes of this episode. I know that they're capable of doing this with the whole season. So this is why I am not scared of the new characters or new subplots, since I know that they're going to be able to do it. But it's a little bit overwhelming, that's for sure. Now this season, I'm sorry, I'm tired. Now this season, I wouldn't call it that is the best one, but I like it a little bit more than the second and the third one. So for me, if I will rank it, will be season 1, season 4, 3, and 2. The 2, I know that there are many people that hate that season. I don't, but it's the one I like it less at the end. Now this season, I will say that is a 9 out of 10 and a 4.5 out of 5. It's brilliant. The soundtrack is brilliant. Special effects are amazing. The makeup, every single detail. I love the attention of the details, the reality. So of course, we're gonna have to wait a little bit in order to find out eventually what is going to happen here, but I can't wait, and definitely I am excited. I am sad that this series is coming to an end, but of course everything needs to come to an end, and every ending has a beginning. But well, I think that this is all for the review. Thank you so much for watching. Let me know what you thought about this season. If you like it, you didn't, who was your favorite group? For me, definitely it's Nancy's and Robin's duo. I love it, those two together, and I love it, Eddie with Steve. All those 4 are my favorites. They did such a really good job this season, and I can't wait to see them once again. If they kill Eddie, I'm going to be sad. I'm going to be really sad. But what I expecting most is 11 and Hopper seeing each other once again, since of course she thinks that he's dead. Whew. But well, this is all. Thanks so much for watching, and I'm going to be see you guys on the next episode. Bye.